Good afternoon. I'm Rush Holt. I represent the people of Central New Jersey in Congress. And we're here today to speak about the marriage equality legislation that's pending here in Trenton and the civil rights movement of the move towards civil rights over the years in this country. At the introduction of the bill, Speaker Sheila Oliver referred to Loving versus Virginia, putting the marriage equality legislation in the context of the struggle for civil rights in America. Evidently, the governor, perhaps unwisely politically, joined that battle and tried to change the history of civil rights in America. We're here today to set the record straight. I give you the Speaker of the New Jersey Assembly, Sheila Oliver.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Holt. Today is an important day in New Jersey. Today we are welcoming to Trenton a genuine American hero, one of the most courageous persons the civil rights movement ever produced. Congressman John Lewis has dedicated his life to protecting human rights, securing civil liberties, and building a better America. And he comes to our capital city at a time when civil rights and one of the great events in human history, the triumph of the American ideal of liberty and equality for all over deep-rooted and brutal segregation, has been flipped into an unfathomable soundbite in these past few days. There are those who want to take a pass on civil rights by sending it to referendum, arguing that this is the tact that should have been pursued by freedom fighters in the South. Congressman Lewis, more than anyone, knows that that sentiment lacks reality. John Lewis was there when black citizens were denied the right to even register to vote and were horribly beaten, even killed if they tried. John Lewis was living it when a judge issued an injunction forbidding any gathering of 3 or more people under the sponsorship of a civil rights organization or leaders. And John Lewis was at the lead when on March 7th, 1965, civil rights marchers headed east out of Selma to the Edmund Pettus Bridge and found an army of Alabama state troopers waiting for them with nightsticks, tear gas, and horses in what would become to be known as Bloody Sunday, a brutal day that forever changed the course of the civil rights movement and our American history. Congressman Lewis is a living example of what it means to stand up and fight for what is right. It took an enormous amount of bravery by Congressman Lewis and many others, including elected officials of that time, to stand up for what was right and to protect equal rights. And each and every one of us here in New Jersey, especially those of us who are put in a position to protect civil rights, must follow the courageous example that was set by Congressman Lewis. And as we consider our votes, our remarks, and our actions in the next several weeks, we should remember what civil rights really is. And thank you, Congressman Lewis, for all that you've done and continue to do for this nation and for joining us at this crucial moment in our own history in New Jersey. There is not a time when you are on Capitol Hill when you see Congressman John Lewis walk the hallowed halls of our state capitol that you do not understand the vital contribution that he has made to us in this country. And Congressman, we hope that we, the representatives of the New Jersey State Legislature, can lead by the example that you established for us over 4 decades ago. And thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you an icon in our country, the architect with others of the civil rights movement, the man who served as a leader in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and a person who has much to teach us about in this country what constitutes civil rights. The courts were not always there for Congressman Lewis. The voters by referendum were not always there for Congressman Lewis. But what was there was the spirit and the tenacity and a grassroots people's movement to make sure that all Americans were imbued and protected by the U.S. Constitution. I present to you the Honorable Congressman John Lewis.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm delighted, very happy, and very pleased to be here. I was long invited to be here by Congressman Holt before this controversy erupted, but I'm pleased to be here. I said over the years that I fought too long and too hard against discrimination based on race and color, not to stand up and speak out against discrimination based on sexual orientation. Apparently, the governor of this state has not read his recent history books, maybe have not watched a segment of Eyes on the Prize. People of color in the American South, as the Speaker indicated, could not register to vote simply because of the color of their skin, could not take a seat at lunch counters in restaurants, could not take a seat on the front of the bus, could not visit state capitals. We saw those signs marked white waiting, white men, white women, colored women. If it had been put to a referendum, we would have never, ever won. No one in the state legislature in Alabama, or in Georgia, or Mississippi, or any of the 11 southern states of the old Confederacy, from Virginia to Texas, would have had the courage to say, let's go by referendum. The action of Congress, executive orders of presidents, and the courts brought down those signs that said white men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. Just think, a few short years in the American South, people stood in unmovable lines for the right to vote. People were asked to pass a so-called literacy test, to count the number of bubbles in a bar of soap, the number of jelly beans in a jar. We had to march, we had to protest. Some of us were beaten, some of us were jailed. I gave a little blood on that bridge in Selma. So here, we have to stand up. The question of civil rights, the question of human rights, is a question of human dignity. Dr. King used to be asked, when it came to the question of interracial marriage, he would say, races don't fall in love and get married. Individuals fall in love and get married. If two men want to fall in love and get married, two women, it's their business. It's not the role of the federal government or the state government to intervene. It's a question of human dignity, a question of human rights. I think the day will come in New Jersey and all across our country when we will look back on this period and say we were just silly, we were just foolish. Let's do what is right, what is fair, and what is just. Thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you so much. Thank you. Happy to be here with you, Congressman, and with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Representative Lewis. For the governor or anyone else to say that a referendum should replace courage doesn't understand history. Nobody understands the history better than John Lewis. He's lived it. No one has earned more than John Lewis the right to express that to you. This will be put in the perspective of the struggle for civil rights in America. The marriage equality legislation will, sooner or later, come to pass here in New Jersey if people in public office show the kind of courage that John Lewis has shown throughout his life.